I say Taylor Gerard.
All
That's
right.
my guess.
She's going with Gerard. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going with. I feel like I'm gonna just play the law of averages. I'm going with Baptiste because she's freaking insane apparently. Oh, she's Canadian. Okay, that makes sense. All right, we're just gonna make sure it's not gonna clip when I call a goal, and that's Let's turn it down a little bit. Let's turn it down a little bit. And shot score. Yeah, okay, that'll work. You always want to make sure it's not going into the red on you. Okay, I think we're good on this house. All right.
Oh yeah. Should I just mute it for now then?
The last time Norwich and UMass Boston's hockey squads squared off, it wasn't as much of a contest as UMass Boston would like. It was a 10-0 runaway in the NEHC conference opener. UMass Boston tonight looking for some revenge 2 months later on their home ice. Welcome back inside the Clark Athletic Center alongside Gina Albano. I am Milton Posner, and we're going to get you started with the broad strokes of the matchup here between these squads. Norwich coming into this one at number 8 in the country in the national poll with a record of 9-4. They've lost only one game in conference. The Beacons 500 in conference, 6-9 on the season. And Gina, it's an opportunity here for UMass Boston, not just for vengeance, but for a statement win as they turn into the midseason.
Yeah, this is a big game for both teams, and especially UMass. They really have a chance to kind of prove to their conference that they're here and they can kind of hang with those teams leading the conference.
Well, it certainly is a young team with something to prove. We're going to take a look at the season stats for both these sides, and Norwich is going to be on the high side in a lot of these, not necessarily a galloping shock. As you can see here, the goals per game is really the standout here for Norwich. They are tops in the conference in that category. They are 4th in the country in scoring offense, and they've got a pretty deadly power play unit too. What might UMass Boston be looking to do to try to counter some of those advantages?
I think UMass really has to stay out of the box tonight. They really can't give Norwich any opportunities to get the man advantage and take advantage of that.
Well, we saw the last time they played, again, a 10-0 win for the Cadets. UMass Boston taking 8 penalties in that game to Norwich's 3, allowing 3 goals for Norwich on the power play and a shorthanded goal for good measure. We'll see what they can do about that. But we're going to kick you now to the players to watch matchup. On the UMass Boston side, it's going to be Emily Hansen, the freshman. And when you're getting this kind of contributions from a freshman, it's certainly going to buoy your offense.
Yeah, I mean, not only is she the leading goal scorer, but she also has 3 assists on the season, which is huge. She's a playmaker, then that makes a difference.
She's been leading this line here, Liz Cramp and Kaylee Kozik each side of her. We're going to take you to Micah Baptiste just really quickly. She's going to be the opposite on the player to watch, and she's coming into this game with certainly a lot of pedigree so far this season. The senior out of Ottawa, Ontario. 13 goals. It's tied for tops in the conference, 6th in the nation. But we're going to get you now to the starting lineups as Norwich starts to send out their starting 6. It's going to be a Leocadia Clark between the pipes, Olivia Boyer, Taylor Gerard, and Anne Frederick Gay. The second line tonight are going to be starting out, and then that deep pairing of Teft and O'Neill. And now for the UMass Boston side as they prepare to pop out to the blue line. It's going to be Hannah McDougall, the captain, the left winger starting on that top line. Sydney Leonard, the top line center, who alongside Emily Hansen has been driving a lot of the offense early in the year. And Allie Riefler, the sophomore, bumping up to that top line for this one. From the D-to-D pairing, it's going to be Melina Maggio, the co-captain, alongside McDougall. And Gabby Shantz joining them as well. Leah Bosch getting the start in net tonight, has been going 1A, 1B with Victoria Kennedy. We saw both of them against Norwich in November and may see both of them here tonight. We're going to take a quick break for the anthem and be right back with Puck Drop from the Clark Athletic Center. You're watching UMass Boston and Norwich on the Beacons Broadcast Network. It's a busy weekend in sports for UMass Boston. A bunch of teams in action here. We're going to have all the action coming to you. Men's ice hockey's taken Norwich at Norwich today. That game's going to start in about an hour's time. We'll have some updates for you as that one goes on. The track and field team at an invitational all day tomorrow. But don't let that distract you from 4 other games. My goodness. Men's and women's basketball doubleheader against Keene State right here in this building. I'll have the broadcast for you right here where you're watching this one. And then women and men's ice hockey both facing off against New England College. Those games a little bit later in the day, 3 and 4 p.m. respectively. We get you a quick look before puck drop around the New England Hockey Conference to see what else is going on in the whole wide world of women's hockey. As you know, UMass Boston taking on Norwich here. As it looks like actually we're going to forego the 2-minute waiting period. The time has gone off the clock and we are ready for puck drop, so we're just going to get straight to that. And away we go. UMass Boston in the home whites with the blue and black trim going to the right side of your screen. Norwich in the maroon and gold jerseys moving left, and they'll keep it in their zone to start off. Puck squibs over. McDougall tries to eject only as far as the blue line as that one skitters through the crease and harmlessly away. The attack starts quickly for the Cadets. And a loose puck out in front, taken by Gabby Shantz. Chance for the Beacons on the breakout. McDougall off the side and loses possession. Taylor Gerard to Anne-Frederique Gay, one of the leading point getters in the nation. Swerving through traffic to the right dot. And deflected just below the goal line. Tried the wraparound and a pad saved by Bosch. No hesitation on the early attack as Headland slingshots one in. That one sticked away by Bosch. So a couple of saves in the opening minute for the freshman goaltender.
Those are 2 really important saves right off the get-go. You know, you don't want to go down 1-0 within the first minute or 2. So those are really important saves to keep her team in the game early.
Well, to your point, it was a couple of first period goals from Norwich, and that wound up being the best quarter UMass Boston had in their last meeting. As McDougall will flip it ahead and the Beacons opt for a full line change here. Here come the second liners, Cramp, Hansen, and Kozik out top. And so the first line goes to the bench without having had much possession. Cramp slings one over. Kozik could have a shot, but it squirts just past her reach and down the opposite end. Beacons on the pinch, but the puck squibs through and they will give chase. As does Jillian Jackson for the Cadets. Kozik dispossessed on that far wall, still fighting for it. And it comes out into the neutral zone to the Cadets and Jillian Jackson.
UMass isn't trying to do anything fancy. They know they have to get the puck out of their zone and get it deep, and they're, so far, really doing a good job of that.
Centering pass, Gerard tipped to the middle. Fired in by Frederique Gay, but to no avail. It didn't make it all the way through. And recovered by Gerard here, a giveaway. And how aggressive is this Cadet forecheck going to be? 2.5 minutes in, and they have still denied the Beacons any chance at a clean breakout. We have our first icing call of the game. We're going back down the other way.
That was a good block by Gabby Shantz to keep the puck away from Bosch there and not force her to make yet another save early on in this game.
Well, we've seen and we heard from Sophie Leclerc Doherty, the head coach of the Cadets, praising Danielle Blanchard and the way her team forechecks, saying they're quick, they're aggressive, they will get on you. We haven't seen too much of it. It's been mostly the other way around, as UMass Boston has had to contend with the Cadets. Morgan Teft fires one into traffic and it gets hung up there. Ali Legou deflects that one coming through the neutral zone, and Norwich collects. They have looked the better team in the opening 3 minutes. With 2 shots on goal, the Beacons have yet to muster their first. And here's Sydney Leonard, freshman center, into the offensive zone, slingshot and makes it through, and it's in! Oh my goodness!
That's a great effort from Sydney Leonard, doing it herself. Not being afraid to, take it in and take the shot instead of just dumping it in deep.
On the first shot of the game, Sydney Leonard somehow gets it through traffic. And the Beacons draw first blood.
If I'm Norwich, I'm worried about this. That's, you're down UMass Boston's end the whole time, and then they have that one opportunity, and they put it past Clark, which is huge.
It looked as though that one may have squeaked under the arm of the goaltender, Leocadia Clark. The first chance, the first meaningful action of the game for her, and it just squibs through. It was a shot to the chest area, or at least at chest height, and it somehow got through. She may have been screened by one of her own defenders on the back check.
As a goalkeeper, that's hard. It's hard when the puck's been down in the opposing end for so long, and then you come down and get one shot. Those are usually the hardest saves to make. And Sydney Leonard took advantage of that.
It's her third goal of the season. Freshman now tied for second on the team with a couple of other players, Wilbert, Kozik, Margot Butters as well. Beacons looking for contributions from a freshman in a season where they've got 9 of them dressing, a lot of them playing serious roles. After a year where they graduated a lot of talent. There's a loose puck in front here. The Beacons playing a little bit lackadaisical with it in front of their netminder, Leah Bosch. But losing Rachel Burum, Jane Ann Drill, Katie Leffler, Kelsey Ryan. There's a lot of scoring to replace, and Sydney Leonard, as you can see, has tried to be one of those freshmen taking up the mantle. 2-on-2 for the Beacons here. Swerving in, dispossessed, and sliding all the way below the goal line is Emily Hansen. And the Beacons control. Invigorated perhaps by the goal, but they'll go for a partial change here and cede possession. Frederick Gay through the neutral zone. Losing control as she falls to the ice, and that is going to draw the first penalty of the game. And Frederick Gay coming through the neutral zone. And it's going to be Izzy Henningsen-Brown, the freshman, to the box. And you mentioned it in the pregame. Taking penalties was a big part of the last matchup between these squads, and it strikes early here. Yeah,
it's hard. When you're playing against a fast team, sometimes that's your last resort, and it's not going to help UMass Boston here tonight.
Not that you essentially want to be giving man advantage to anybody, but if you had to avoid giving it to anyone, it would be this Norwich Cadets team. A 34% scoring rate on the power play for the Cadets so far this season. That is tops in the Northeast Hockey Conference. It is third in the nation. They are very dangerous, to be sure. Oh, and a brilliant block from Kozik, sliding to the blue line and earning a change for a couple of Beacons while she's at it. This comes in, kicks off Legou. And Frederick Gay playing around the end line, scoops one up and over the net. And Molly Flanagan retrieves on the opposite side, back to Gay across the blue line. Deflected off the leg of Wilbert. Halfway home on the power play, loose puck here. And shoveling it to the other end to earn a change is Wilbert, a wise play.
That's a really smart play. Sometimes it's hard when you see all that open ice in front of you not to take it down yourself, but she knows they got to get a change, and she smartly dumps it down the other end.
Here's Amy Hedlund down the left side. Beacons setting up in front. Micah Baptiste, the leading scorer for the Cadets, one of the leading scorers in the nation. And a battle here with Liz Cramp and a turnover. And it's been a rather sloppy power play so far for the Cadets. They have not gotten any premium chances. They've got 20 seconds to play with, time for one last rush. Reese Archambault. Carly Goot, and it's ejected again. Beacons with an 85% kill percentage on the season. That's middle of the pack in the NEHC. Have stood on their heads through the first minor penalty of the game. Back to even strength. Here comes Allie Riefler. And immediately getting into the action. Chance for a breakout here. Hannah McDougall, she's got Riefler away. Fires in from deep and an easy save for Clark. Can the Beacons keep the pressure on? It was a very successful kill. And an icing call here is going to send the ball back to the Beacons O-zone.
That's a huge kill from UMass. You have 2 huge block shots, keep the game 1-0. That's really important. And then, the penalty ends and you go back down the other way and get a shot on net, change the momentum. They're looking good right now.
The momentum had swung in a flash there with that Sydney Leonard goal. It was against the run of play in pretty much every way imaginable. Not to mention surprising in other ways, as it didn't look to be a particularly dangerous chance. UMass Boston has been the more active team in the time since. And again, Katie Wilbert right in front. And the Beacons have punched the bully in the mouth. 2-0 after 8 minutes. How's this for unexpected?
That is unbelievable. That's an unbelievable effort from Henningsen Brown to win that battle in the corner and then put that puck perfectly in the slot for Wilbert to finish that beautifully to the left side of the net.
All alone on the doorstep, Katie Wilbert, her fourth goal of the season. Tied for the team lead. The goal has become unmoored here. We got a couple of players tumbling in. Wilbert for the Beacons and Micah Baptiste for the Cadets. Baptiste a little slow to get up here. The first goal of the game belonged, as we mentioned, to Sydney Leonard. It was an even strength goal, unassisted. This one from Katie Wilbert. We still have yet to hear who the assist is going to. But it's a neutral zone face-off here, and I think even the most generous expectations for the Beacons would not have had them up multiple goals in the first period against the number 8 team in the nation, 11th in the pairwise, coming into the day. But here they are.
They're proving themselves here. They've stuck with some really good teams throughout this season, and this is just another example of that.
Inside of 12 minutes now. Beacons aggressive here on their forecheck, trying to win possession back, and Clark is just going to cover that one up, maybe give herself a little bit of a mental break here.
All you need is a little confidence boost. So those 2 goals are really huge for the Beacons. Now they're kind of moving the puck into the offensive zone, taking some chances, taking some risks. You saw in the beginning they were a little hesitant, a little nervous, and you can see it seems like they've kind of built some confidence up with those 2 goals.
And the active sticks in the neutral zone, as you can see there, have come with that confidence. Mellyanne Reynolds around the far side of the goal. Beacons trying to keep her in on the pinch, and they take the puck back. Dump it down and will give chase. Sydney Leonard gives way. Katie Wilbert back onto the ice after a short rest. Buddington chops it back. A little bit of back and forth pinball here as Wilbert retrieves it and looks for some buddies. Margot Butters in the neutral zone, flings it all the way around, and the Beacons complete the line change. Inside of 11 minutes to go, Beacons up 2-0 on goals from Sydney Leonard and then from Katie Wilbert. And they have kept the pressure up. Circling Mia Boyd back out to Butters. Chops one in. Wilbert digs it out. Norwich is having a hard time recovering the puck. Pretty much anywhere on the ice. And finally they fling it ahead and they clear their own zone. Oh, but here's a chance. Crapaldi, sticked away, fires toward net, and snagged by Clark.
I mean, that's not a bad shot. If I'm UMass right now, I'm thinking let's put everything on net, really test the keeper. The goalie, they have, had 6 shots on goal, and they've put 2 of them away, so it's not a bad play.
Well, exactly. The balance between quantity and quality has been an open question for Danielle Blanchard's squad. She was leaning, she said this week, toward more quality shots, but when you see Sydney Leonard score on a shot like that, it's enough to make you think, let's fling some stuff and see what happens. Let's see. Here comes Sean, centering pass. Cramp just missed getting a hold of it. Puck is still loose and nearly tipped home there in the slot by Emily Hansen. Still loose beneath the goal line. Finally, Norwich controls. Recovering back in the defensive zone is Emma Webster for the Beacons, around Gay. And slides up ahead. Icing is the call. 9.5 minutes to play.
It's not a bad play. She's looking for the center coming through as a way to kind of break out of the zone, take a new kind of approach to that. Just didn't hit it right at the perfect timing there.
Seen 2 shots on goal to start the game for Norwich, as there's another. The last 6 have belonged to the Beacons. Mind you, coming into this game, Norwich out shooting their opponents by 11-12 shots a game. UMass Boston being outshot by 10. But they have flipped every script in the first 10 minutes and change of this one. And Norwich all of a sudden feeling some serious pressure against a team that they absolutely flattened back in November in the conference opener. It was a game that Danielle Blanchard said we had 2 exhibition games, 2 regular season games, and then Norwich. It was an opportunity for us to see what a top national team looked like, and for a team as freshman heavy as this one is, it was a rude awakening to the realities of college hockey. Norwich served that role, and now UMass Boston's coming right back at him. Puck still loose in the slot. So may have had an illegal play with a hand there, and it's going to lead to a face-off in the offensive zone, in the Norwich offensive zone, excuse me.
You know, Norwich is having a little bit of a surge here. You can't forget they, average 5 goals a game, so it's, a 2-0 lead isn't enough for the Beacons to get totally comfortable. They got to keep the gas pedal on if they want this game to end in their favor.
Draw poked away, MacDougall, and the Cadets will have to chase down in the neutral zone. Beacons opt for a change. Oh, poked away, Wilbert on a chance there, but it didn't quite develop. Crashing into the near side boards. Who's going to emerge with it? Dangerous play there, nearly a trip, but the Beacons will escape. Fling pass ahead, intercepted. Mia Boyd.
You talked about active sticks in the neutral zone. The Beacons have been phenomenal, just reading the passes and making sure Norwich has a really difficult time breaking into their zone.
I mean, we've seen a lot of pucks kind of squibbing off sticks here. The difference for the Beacons, it seems like, is they're coming through in the neutral zone. The puck is landing on their sticks, and it's staying there as the Cadets try to gain some ground. And, I mean, this was a very stark flip, because the first 3 minutes of this game, I think, went about how we'd expect. It was crushing pressure from the Cadets. We saw their speed. We saw all their strengths. And then that one goal, maybe it was just a confidence thing.
Yeah, it broke the ice a little bit. UMass thinks, wait a minute, we're in this just as much as anybody else, and the whole game kind of flips on its head.
Henningsen Brown tried to drag it with her, couldn't quite get her stick to the puck. And now a chance for Reynolds. Moving to the net front, dump off pass, can't quite find Legou. Norwich looking for their first sustained zone time in a while. And a nice deflection of the pass from Liz Cramp. And here come the Beacons again. Cramp flying up the left side. Puck comes all the way around. Clark's out of the net. But a nice recovery there by Archambault to tie up the Beacons. Limbs and sticks and limbs, and eventually it's Gay coming out with it. Thread pass ahead. Reynolds fires from deep, and wisely collected there by Leah Bosch.
You mentioned briefly Liz Cramp breaking up the pass in the defensive zone. Just reading that passing lane, having an active stick, and kind of breaking up that play. UMass gets a turnover and gets to head back the other way and create an opportunity.
And they'll take the face-off here as we move below the 7-minute mark in the first period. Oh, and a chance now. Here's Sydney Leonard. Poked away as she came across the blue line. Beacons once again aggressive on the forecheck with all 5 bodies. Now Webster swings to Leonard. Riefler fighting for it with Morgan Teff. And Baptiste comes to grab it. Norwich starting to get a little bit more confidence back, but some of the passes still not what they want them to be. Jackson dispossessed as she came through. That was Adriana Crepaldi on the Beacons side. And the Beacons continue to fling shots from deep, but Clark has settled in a little bit. Hasn't given up too many dangerous rebounds in the last few minutes. And Frederick Gay looking for a shooting angle in the centering pass. The Beacons tighten the crease just enough.
That's a great back check from the whole line of UMass right there. Olivia Boyer, you know, an open shot in the slot, but she can't get it off because too many of them have made it back already.
It's the sort of hustle. It's a little bit trickier when you've got a bunch of freshmen still acclimating to the college game and the intensity. But Danielle Blanchard said you work with your line, you work hard, you work smart. As Leah Bosch with a lightning quick reaction to cover up the rebound. But you learn how to play with your line. She said you become more schematically sound. It means you don't have to over pursue, you don't have to over chase, you don't have to expend more energy than is necessary. The upshot is you actually have energy when you need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Legou and Hansen on the face-off. It's the Cadets who win it. Back to Archambault. Pass doesn't quite make it through off the stick of Reynolds. Tough defense from Hansen, and now the Beacons trying to swerve around for the breakout. Legou has other ideas. And here comes Kaylee Kozik, slammed into the boards. Legou, loose puck in the neutral zone. Shantz up ahead. Hansen shielding it with the body. She's got Kozik with her. But the Cadets get back in time. Starting to get a little bit scrappier as we turn inside the last portion of the first quarter. Inside of 5 minutes. Turnover. Hansen. Puck still loose. Emily Hansen lost track of it for a moment. More sustained zone time for the blue and white. And once again, Norwich fails to eject. Beacons go for a platoon swap here. Norwich swaps almost the entire line. Morgan Teff fighting for it. Eventually it goes to Emma O'Neill, the captain, who is in a lot of ways doubtful to play today. We'll tell you why in a bit. There's a breakout developing here, and the Beacons in the nick of time skitter the puck out of the crease. Emma Morell through the zone now, the defenseman, and dispossessed again. Crepaldi, puck still loose. So Wilbur kind of stumbled into it, and we've got a whistle on the play here. And it looks like Carly Gout may be headed to the box.
You mentioned things getting a little scrappy, and you're thinking, how are the refs going to handle this? Because they call a trip early on in the game, and then they let a few things go. I mean, that play right there, you can't really miss it. That's a clear penalty, and the refs have to call it to keep things in check.
It's a 2-minute minor on Carly Goot, And it's going to send the Beacons onto the man advantage where, to be quite frank, they have not been good this season. Just a 7% conversion rate on the power play. 3 power play goals in the first 15 games of the season.
I think we have a delayed penalty here.
Indeed we do. So it looks like we're going to have some 4-on-4, and the only question is, what can Norwich do while the hand is up? And Frederick Gay into the offensive zone, drag shot, Bosch save, rebound, score! Micah Baptiste, the third leading goal scorer in the nation, tucks one home. And short-handed, the Cadets pull one back. The delayed penalty was up. The refs are conferring here. But it was Anne Frederick Gay making the inroads into the offensive zone, drawing 2 defenders. And Micah Baptiste with her team best NEHC best 14th goal of the season in the team's 14th game, mind you. Gets it to go. He's 6th in the nation in goals per game, 16th in points per game. And I think the officials are going to the scorer here, try to confer on what to do.
That's difficult for the Beacons. You want to go into the locker room with a 2-0 lead, especially for Leah Bosch to have that kind of shutout within the first period. So that's not something you want to happen. 3 minutes left in the first period. But Baptiste has proved time and time again that she's capable of truly anything and everything. And that's what happens.
It's a shorthanded goal from Micah Baptiste. So after this, you would imagine, and indeed we can see a penalty here. It has been assessed to Katie Wilbert of the Beacons. And so what we got on the menu here for you is 1:17 of 4-on-4, followed by 43 seconds of power play for the Norwich Cadets, who have just seized the momentum in a big way and are presumably confident here about finding the equalizer before they go into the locker room. So it'll be the third penalty of the game, the second on the Beacons. They very deftly killed off the first penalty and used it as a launching pad for their second goal. The officials seem to be wrapping up their conference.
I wonder if UMass is trying to say they shouldn't have to go on the penalty here because they did just get scored on. So I'm wondering if that's the conversation that's happening right now.
Well, the referees taking care of it. Michael Komick and Marissa Perry. The linesmen Paige Lemieux and Jake Van House. Looks like we should have a clarification in just a moment. But the penalty assessed to Carly Goot still very much in effect. There's 1:17 left on that one. Katie Wilbert is going to be spending 2 minutes in the sin bin herself. So it is 4-on-4 hockey as we expected coming out from the goal. The assist goes to Anne-Frederique Gay and Olivia Boyer. Their 17th and 5th assists of the year respectively. And for Gay, first in the conference, third in the country in that category as Kozik fires a shot through. It's blocked on its way in. Emma Morell on the deflection. Puck comes all the way down. Giving chase is Amy Hedlund. Who can make the most of the 4-on-4, and can the Beacons get enough momentum to tide them over through the shorthanded 43 seconds?
They have to protect this lead going into the second period. If they want to keep this game close, that's a huge momentum shift for them to walk into the locker room still holding that lead. So this is going to be a very important next couple 45 seconds or so for the Beacons.
And Frederique Gay, the possession near the post. And the Beacons having a little bit of trouble ejecting the puck here, but they finally do. Oh, dash ahead. Emily Hansen, just Flanagan to beat, and she's pinned into the corner. The penalty on Carly Goot of the Cadets has expired, so we've got another 35 seconds here of Norwich power play. Hansen doing a good job eating up the first 10 seconds. She's going to go off for a change here. Mac Jugel, the captain, co-captain, comes back in her stead. Norwich has only got a couple of opportunities here. What can they do with it? Baptiste slides one through wide of the post. Hedlund keeps it in. Gabby Shantz, it's decision time, and she can only get it as far as the neutral zone. The penalty expires. We're just back to even strength. Last chance on the Wisps of the power play, no good. And here's a chance, 2-on-2 for the Beacons. It's Riefler running with Leonard. Shot is deflected. Clark with a nice pad save.
Leonard does a nice job taking that to her backhand and then being able to get the shot off with her forehand.
Addie Buddington below the goal line. Riley McIntyre scrapping with Riefler. And winning back possession. Here's a chance. Sliding. Beautiful deflection from Buddington. Like glue to the stick. Beacons with maybe time for one last breakout here, but they can't get it to the blue line. And now here perhaps a chance for McDougal. She is surrounded and flings a shot that didn't really have a prayer. Few seconds to go, and Norwich content to burn it out. But a big first period for UMass Boston. 2 goals from Sydney Leonard and then from Katie Wilbert. And so even after Norwich pulls one back on the 14th of the year for Micah Baptiste, UMass Boston still going into the first intermission with a 1-goal lead. And Gina, did anyone in the building think this one was going to go this way?
No, I don't think so. And I think, UMass Boston's probably a little surprised, too, to be walking into the locker room 2-1 right now. But although that last goal coming from Norwich has got to be frustrating for them, they got to keep their heads up because they have some work to do to, keep this lead and protect their net. And, they could be walking away with, at this point already they're kind of, making a statement within the first period that they're here and they can hang with, nationally ranked teams.
This is a Norwich team that, as we mentioned earlier, 8th in the national poll, 11th in the pairwise. They're coming into this game with just 1 loss in conference. They are second only to Elmira in the Northeast Hockey Conference standings. UMass Boston with a respectable 4-4 record. They've got 11 points in 8 conference games. Norwich, on the same number of conference games, has 21. We are talking about a major gap here. Norwich's top scorers are putting up stats that no one on UMass Boston squad is touching. And yet, it's the Beacons that have the lead as we go to the first intermission. We're going to step aside for a brief moment and be back in just a little while with some first period stats and then the second period from the Clark Athletic Center. Stick around. You don't want to miss the rest of this one. when one team hangs 10 goals on another and shuts them out in their first meeting, it's hard to know what to expect from the second meeting, but I think what nobody expected, and certainly not either of us, is a 2-1 lead for the underdog Beacons here. But after goals from Sydney Leonard and then from Katie Wilbert, that's exactly what we've got, as Norwich managed to pull one back toward the tail end of the period. She's Gina Albano, I'm Milton Posner, and we're going to segue in here with the first period stats. Gina, if you want to take a look at that, what's standing out to you from the first period here that's maybe not quite what we expected?
Well, I think the big thing is UMass is tying Norwich in shots. That's a big deal. That shows that, Wilbert and Leonard's goal aren't just flukes that kind of, happened, kind of by accident. This is hard work from the Beacons that has paid off. They're competing with this Norwich team.
And I think we were both surprised, maybe most of all, by just how strong they look defending through the neutral zone. They're coming through, the puck sticking on their sticks, for lack of a better word. They were dispossessing rather than just mucking things up. And it's something you expect of a very, of an experienced team, of a team with a lot of upperclassmen, maybe a team that's hitting its stride in advance of playoffs. This UMass Boston team is really none of those things, and they looked very good for big stretches of that first period.
Yeah, they're playing good. You can see there's a lot of hustle there. They know they have to work hard to keep up with this team, and they're not only doing a good job, they're winning 2-1 right now.
Leah Bosch had a strong first period, saved 7 shots, let in just the 1, and that was really off a rebound she couldn't do too much about. Leocadia Clark, 6 saves, 2 goals allowed, so both goalies facing the same 8 shots. We saw Victoria Kennedy start against Norwich last time. Leah Bosch came in for the third period. They both got some serious time. They both got some serious shot volumes, made a good number of saves, and ceded a good number of goals. So it's hard to know what to take out of that, but they've been 1A and 1B all season. Bosch is still out there to start the second, joined by McDougall, by Leonard, by Shantz, Maggio, and Ali Riefler. Meanwhile, it is the top line of Gay, Boyer, and Gerard for the Cadets to start off this one alongside Morell and Flanagan, the top D pairing. Away we go, and it's the Cadets immediately making inroads into the zone. If you're just joining us, this one brought to you by McCourt Construction. And it's been an interesting one so far, and a chance here for Taylor Gerard. Just one defender to beat. It's Shantz, fires on net and scores! 6th goal of the season comes lightning fast out of the locker room for Taylor Gerard. And just like that, we're all even at 2 goals apiece.
Yeah, that's a great shot from Taylor Gerard. She's, just at the top of the circle, and she rips that shot past Bosch.
Shantz tried the back check, but a missile to the side of the net is just what the doctor ordered for number 8 Norwich. And UMass Boston needs to dig deep now.
Yeah, Norwich knows they also have something to prove. They're fighting for that number 1 spot in the conference, so this isn't going to be a game that they just kind of let go.
And they're fighting for it with an Elmira team that is 11-5 on the season to Norwich's 9-3. They are undefeated 10-0 in conference to Norwich's 7-1. So they are 9 points ahead, although Norwich has 2 games in hand coming into the day. And it was a 3-2 win for Elmira, and these teams squared off last time. It was going to be a week ago as O'Neill slings it across. We're going to tell you about O'Neill and that Elmira game being brought up as a good enough time to do it. Fell and got her legs slashed by the skate of a defender trying to jump over her, and 20 stitches in a hospital stay later as she's trying to convince her head coach, Sophie Leclerc-Doherty, I can play tomorrow, before waking up in the hospital bed the next day and going, oh yeah, walking is hard. But her coach says it shows you the toughness there as we get an icing call. It shows you the toughness she brings to the table. She said And you understand what she means when she says this. It's good that it happened to her. If it's going to happen to anybody, let it happen to a kid that tough. 20 stitches deep in an injury where you can, I'll put it to you this way, any injury where you can see inside your own body and then be back on the ice in a week, you're doing okay. Slap shot Archambault, pad save wide for Bosch. But Emma O'Neill, the captain, tough as they come. As you can see her out today, it was not expected necessarily that she was going to be back this quickly, but she missed only the one game the next day.
Yeah, as a coach, that's the kind of athlete you want. You know, the one that just wants to be on that ice so bad, even after 20 stitches.
Puck squibs all the way through. Bosch lets it slide harmlessly past the post. 2 minutes in the second period here, and a goal 26 seconds in from Taylor Gerard. The equalizer the Cadets were searching for in those waning minutes of the first period when they had the man advantage. Sticked up, Crepaldi looking for it. Wilbert giving chase. Can she get to it first? Not quite. But the Beacons with a chance to keep things in. I think Henningsen Brown didn't think it was going to come through to her. Or maybe just worried about touching it offside. Flanagan handoff, and Frederic Gay dangle and loses possession of the puck, but we got a whistle. And it looks like it'll be a penalty assessed to UMass Boston. This looks to be, indeed it is, Katie Wilbert's second penalty of the game, and quite frankly, her second penalty in about 6 minutes of game time is going to send the Cadets back to the power play. They're 0 of 2 on the power play so far today, but they're third in the country in power play percentage. So UMass Boston going to have to be very careful here. As mentioned, they've killed off both of them. One of them was an abbreviated power play in fairness, but the first one, the Beacon penalty kill, looked very good. The shot slingshot wide of the post. Beacon's trying to tie it up on the near side boards. It was Liz Cramp mixing it up with Gerard, who scored just a moment ago. Flips it back to the point. Flanagan, D to D. Slingshot deflected. Gabby Shantz earning a raucous couple of cheers from the bench as the Beacons clear. Opportune change here. Mia Boyd back out onto the ice. Margot Butters alongside her. Hannah McDougall, enough to contend with Mellyanne Reynolds. Swooping behind the net, looking for company. Power play half over. Slides left. Above the left dot, chipped into the netting. And with 50 seconds to go, it's going to prompt a face-off in the zone.
That's not essentially that bad for UMass. You know, you don't ever want a defensive face-off, but they get a chance to make a change and get fresh legs on the ice.
50 seconds remaining on the penalty. The second minor of the game for Katie Wilbert. And a one draw there. Morgan Teft couldn't quite keep the puck on her stick. Would have had a free shooting lane if she had. But instead they'll cycle back up top to Gay on the backside of the post. Couple of missed opportunities. There's a shot from Teft on the one time and a beautiful block from Mia Boyd. Read the pass beautifully. Reynolds now bombing in. Swerving back. Looking for an option, left alone. Gay at the point, fires through. It's deflected into the netting up high. Looked like off the shoulder of one of her teammates. May have been Ali Legou in the slot. But the Beacons once again escape.
Yeah, I mean, if anything comes from this game, UMass should pat themselves on the back for their penalty kill. They've had some really good block shots just in this power play, penalty kill alone. Both Boyd and Shantz having absolutely very, essential blocks to kind of keep this game all tied up.
It's an 86% kill percentage as that one squibs through. And the waning seconds of the power play going to be in vain. There's a turnover behind the net, and Liz Cramp ensuring those last wisps of the power play get killed off. Now the Beacons with a chance to pinch in the zone. How aggressive is the forecheck going to be? Buddington by the blue line. Hansen now collecting along the near side boards. And the Beacons once again using that penalty kill as a momentum launching pad. Taking the opportunity for a change. With a puck pinned alongside the far side boards. Shantz with a shoulder and ruled a legal play as Gerard hit the ice. And a little bit too premature. The linesman whistled clean play. The referee disagreed. And that's going to be a cross-checking penalty for Gabby Shantz. And so we're lauding the penalty kill. Here it comes.
Yeah, that's a hard call for the refs, but you know, she's facing the boards and just a little ways off. That is a dangerous hit.
Shot comes in, deflected off the skate of Kozik, but sails high above the head of Bosch. Excuse me, a slight correction. It's a interference penalty, not a cross-check against Shantz. And the Beacons have another 2 minutes of man advantage to turn away. And Frederic Gay tips one into Gretzky's office. Retrieving it there is Legoux. Back to Frederic Gay, loose in the slot and sticked away. Mia Boyd getting to it, and it rolls on its edge all the way down below the end line. Minute 20 remaining in the power play. Now here comes Morgan Teff. There's a loose stick. It's Wilbert's. So the Beacons playing 3.5 on 5 here. Wilbert trying to make herself useful in the slot. And Bosch reading the situation, covers up the puck. And Wilbert going to get to retrieve her equipment.
Yeah, that's a smart heads-up play from Bosch. You would like to think she'd probably cover that anyway, but just knowing that Wilbert doesn't have a stick and you're playing basically a 3-on-5 and covering that up as soon as possible.
Sticked away through Amy Hedlund, and back into the neutral zone goes Flanagan to retrieve it. Beacons playing higher now, playing more aggressive. Can they force a turnover? Not quite. And now time to recover. Buddington below the goal line. 40 seconds remaining in the power play. 13.5 in the period. Coming loose there is Ingrid Holstad-Burge as they cycle it around. Baptiste. Buddington playing strong defense. Cramp going for a change here, as a couple of the cadets do as well. 14 seconds remaining on the power play. Flanagan takes a tumble. Baptiste goes to retrieve it, and the Beacons once again standing tall on the disadvantage. Their 4th killed penalty. And now, here comes Hansen. 3-on-2. McDougall shot. Saved by Clark. Excellent positioning from Leocadia Clark to take away the counter.
Hansen didn't have much room to slice that pass through that defender, but she found a way to still find it through, which is really just speaks to, again, her playmaking skills and her ability to keep her head up and find her teammate.
Siyun Kang flips it D to D. Archambault. Now here comes Biddle. Slingshot. Chest saved by Bosch. O'Neill re-enters alongside Morel, mixing and matching the D pairings now. The extra skater out there and a loose shot. Score! How about that one? A chaotic play, the rebound comes loose. And once again, it's Taylor Gerard, the sophomore, with her 2nd goal of the period. And the Cadets have their first lead of the evening.
There's really nothing Bosch can do about that one. That's just unlucky at that point. You have, 2 Cadets right wide open in front of the net. The first shot doesn't go, but, there's nothing you can do about that second rebound.
Gerard takes the face-off here. And that's going to be a penalty. Another one on Shantz as Gay goes tumbling into the boards behind the net. Delayed penalty. And finally the whistle blows, and so the Beacons going back to the penalty kill, where in fairness to them, they've killed off 4 penalties, totaling about 7 minutes of time. All the goals that they've given up, 2 of them have been even-handed. One of them was they gave up on their own power play. Penalty kill has weirdly been the safe haven for UMass Boston, at least so far, and there haven't been too many good shots.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Cadets.
maybe they want to stay in the box. Maybe that's their game plan. But it is unfortunate that it's Gabby Shantz who's been so essential to the Beacons' penalty kill and blocking shots. So this will be interesting to see how they handle this.
The assists on that last goal from Gerard going to Olivia Boyer. That's her 3rd of the game. And Emma O'Neill, her 1st. For O'Neill, it's her 5th point of the season. She's got a goal and 4 assists now. For Boyer, came into this game with 6 goals, 4 assists. She's added 3 to her assist tally. Starting on center on that second line here, worth mentioning the lines are being scrambled a little bit here by Sophie Leclerc-Doherty, saying she's not looking for anything in particular. Nobody's being punished. Nobody's being demoted. It's more so that you don't want to find out that you've got a top shelf line that you just didn't try. You don't want to have to find that out come playoff time. You want to get your experimenting done ahead of time. So Legou fires that one over the top left corner of the goal. So mixing and matching the lines tonight with Baptiste as that 3rd line center, Boyer's the starting center on the 2nd line with Gay and Gerard, the 2 elite wings on either side of her.
Yeah, chemistry is so important. It can really bring out kind of the best in certain players, and then, sometimes, as the Cadets might have seen starting this game, you might have something that's a little off, and you need to kind of work that out, like you said, before the playoffs.
Another stingy kill so far for the Beacons, just 20 seconds left for Norwich to work with. Gay trying to contend with her mirror. That would be Emily Hansen. And a dump down here is going to extinguish the 5th power play of the evening. And so a UMass Boston team that came in 5th in penalty kill percentages. Here's an opportunity developing. Gerard, and robbed of a hat trick as Bosch clutches it to the chest.
Yeah, that's good positioning by Bosch. She read that really well, saw it coming right across, and stood it up really well.
Putting a bow on that last point. 5th in the conference on the penalty kill were the Beacons coming into today, and they have looked very good against a power play unit that quite simply does not play around. They do not play with their food. They don't lollygag. They don't wait. They just score, and they do it about 1/3 of the time. Beacons have been that strong on the kill. It's everywhere else where the defense has been a little lacking here in the second period for them. We got a whistle on the play here from the linesman on the opposite side. Gonna await the call here. It's going to be a neutral zone face-off. Squibs all the way down to the UMass end. They have not been able to set up shop in their own offensive zone all that much in the second, in the way that they did in the first. Wraparound shot, but Bosch seals the post as bodies hit the floor.
UMass Boston's been really good with their active sticks. The Cadets are having actually kind of a difficult time getting decent shots off, which I think, you start to see it shift a little. We were 8-8 with shots on goal at the end of the first period, and now the Cadets are kind of pulling away with 16 shots on goal to the Beacons 10, and they just haven't been quality shots because the Beacons have been able to get their sticks in between and really break up these plays.
8.5 minutes left in the second period of play. It's been 2 goals for Norwich, both of them coming off the stick of Taylor Gerard. The Beacons trying to gain their own zone and hang out there for a while. Sticked away calmly by Clark. Shot came in from past the point. Hansen, beautiful centering feed. McDougal, sliding save by Clark. Shot, score! It's Mia Boyd with her first collegiate goal, and the Beacons draw even.
You had Norwich thinking they got away with that one with a wide open shot, and Clark comes up with a huge save, and then Boyd just finishes it. That's a great, that's great hockey knowledge to just know that, the cadets are out of position, and Clark, had just come off a great save and take that shot, and she put it away.
The third line defenseman out of Buffalo, New York in her freshman season lights the lamp for the first time in blue and white. And we got the captains here hanging out by the conversing officials here.
It looked like it went off the inside of the post.
It looked as though it did as well. It was the players, not all the players reacted to it. Boyd kind of didn't really shout, mostly just stood in one place and just raised her arms to the heavens. There's an explanation coming out to Danielle Blanchard and Sophie Leclerc Doherty on either bench.
Yeah, what convinces me is the players behind the cadets' net celebrated. So I think they must have seen it cross the line, and that's where the celebration came from.
Officials still conferring here, but Mia Boyd's getting all kinds of hugs on the bench. The co-captain Melina Maggio, a left D herself, embracing her.
That's a huge, huge first goal.
Yes, sir.
You score your first collegiate goal against a nationally ranked team in a close game. I mean, that has to feel good for the right reasons.
Yeah, if you do it in a 10-1 game, it's going to be a little bittersweet. You do it tonight, and this game continues to develop in ever more intriguing ways.
Yeah, that means a lot to Boyd, I'm sure, and a lot to the Beacons as a whole.
Have our second tie of the period. Centering pass sticks in the middle. The puck finally ejected here. Riefler giving chase. Kang wasn't quite back on it at first, and she finally recovers. Nice little bit of deception there from Archambault. Little swerving move there from Legoux. And the Beacons take it back. It's Wilbert. Centering pass. No good off the stick of Crepaldi, but she'll chase it down. Swing wide. Shantz, slingshot, sticked high, and into the netting.
I think McDougal had a huge shift right there. She breaks up a really dangerous play by the cadets in front of her own net, and then comes down the other way and has a really nice back check to keep the puck in the cadets' zone. You're not getting the shots off sometimes, but still you're the one that's kind of creating the plays and making it happen for the Beacons.
How aggressive will the Beacons forecheck be? They're forcing turnovers left and right. And once again, the goal leading to some momentum for them, some confidence, some renewed focus after a second period where it looked like Norwich was reestablishing what they always do. Shantz takes a spill behind the net, tumbling over her. We got a whistle on the play. Who's it going against? It should be against Norwich, and it appears as though it is. And Frederique Gay, for the first time all day, goes to the sin bin. And the Beacons, for just the second time against a very disciplined, to this point, Norwich team, going on the power play.
I mean, I think it comes at the right time. The Beacons have just scored to tie the game up, so they've had a lot of time in the cadets zone, 3 shots on net in the last couple of minutes. So I think this is a good opportunity for the Beacons to kind of slow the game down and really get some quality opportunities.
The power play has been the weakest point for an otherwise solid young team. Just 6% of their opportunities converted so far this season. Their head coach saying, oh, and there's a trip. Oh, and this is a massive call.
And this
just
is
30 seconds into the power play, we're going to get some 3-on-5.
Yeah, this isn't even going to be a 3-on-5 for, 15, 10 seconds. This is going to be a 3-on-5 for a minute 33, which is huge.
And the Beacons with the best chance they have had all night. Their head coach Danielle Blanchard has been saying they need to be confident, share the wealth on the power play, but also goalies in this conference too good to beat on the first shot. You got to take away their eyes. You got to make them defend the rebounds. We'll see what the Beacons can do. A minute and a half of 5-on-3 begins with a clutch save from Leocadia Clark.
And it all starts with a great face-off win from Katie Wilbert right there. Hopefully Emily Hansen can do the same thing here.
There's a minute 25 more of 5-on-3. Puck still loose. Wilbert in front. Beautiful save on the blocker. Back to the blue line. Slingshot score! The Beacons take the lead. And from distance, it's Margot Butters with her 4th of the year.
That is a shot teams are going to start to have to worry about, because from the point, Margot Butters is that shot, the goalie could see it. Clark could have seen it all the way. There was no stopping that. That had not only pace on it, but it was, netted top corner.
A heat-seeking missile from distance. And now a minute 48 of 5-on-4 play for the Beacons. And a chance to really send a message. McDougall into the middle, looking for Riefler or some kind of deflection. Beacons will retain, but a loose puck handle there. And Baptiste with a chance on a breakout, just beat back there on a nice defensive play by Sydney Leonard. It's a Margot Butters with a power play goal. Her 2nd of the season on the power play, 4th overall. And a shot ahead to Liz Cramp here. Centering feed, beautiful defensive slide there from Emma Morell. 50 seconds remaining on the power play, just inside 5 minutes left to go in the second period of play. Centering pass, and Addie Buddington's going to want that one back. Defenders with their backs turned couldn't quite get it. Centering feed sticked away once again. Emma Morell's had a brilliant shift. Hansen into the middle, chipped high. 25 seconds to go on the man advantage for UMass Boston. They scored on the 5-on-3. What can they do with this one? Pass is picked off. Micah Baptiste dumps down. And the Beacons will have maybe one more breakout chance in the afterglow. 10 seconds remaining. Baptiste goes to the bench for a change. And dispossessed there by Olivia Boyer, who's very quietly had a terrific game. 3 assists, no goals of her own, and so name hasn't popped up as much. The power play expires here, and Norwich got 4 minutes to find themselves an equalizer, or else they're going to go into the second intermission down by a goal as well. Gerard fires high. Just got a piece of the glove there from Bosch as it came through. Some frantic hockey as the pace has become all the more heightened in the last couple of minutes, as has the energy in the building.
I think the Cadets can thank Emma Morell for helping them kill off that penalty that, the Beacons had some really, really, really good chances that really could have given them a 2-goal lead, but Emma Morell had 2 absolutely beautiful plays to keep this game just 4-3.
If we told you that the 3rd best power play squad in the country was going to get 5 chances, and that the worst power play unit in the New England Hockey Conference was going to get 3, who would you have thought would have scored more power play goals?
I think we got another one right here.
Oh, my
I think
Lord.
we have a tripping penalty.
And so the 9th penalty of the game handed down. These two teams combined for 11 last time. And an equally chippy game. This one, it's going to be Melianne Reynolds, the top line right winger, with 10 points on the season, heading to the sin bin and giving the Beacons another couple of minutes to work with here. And it's not, you have good disciplined power play trips that don't end in goals. You have undisciplined ones that do. If a shot squeaks through, that happens. That has not been the case here. We got to be clear about this for those of y'all just tuning in. The Beacons, arguably a 5 times worse man advantage team coming into the evening, have been by far the better team on the power play.
Yeah, quite a few opportunities. You know, it very well could be a 7-3 game right now, based on just their opportunities that they've had on the power play. And on the other side, Norwich hasn't really been able to execute on their power play.
Centering pass, puck still loose, squibs below the goal line. Minute 35 remaining on the advantage, with Melian Reynolds still in the timeout box. Back up to the point, Shantz, swing wide, Buddington chips it in. Puck still loose. Beautiful defensive play there. Morgan Teff keeping it out of the crease. Leonard, stick through. Shot is wide. 2.5 minutes remaining in the second period. A minute remaining on the power play for UMass Boston, their 4th power play of the evening. Oh, and somebody's got to fetch the puck. It winds up being Buddington just south of the blue line. And a little bit of a discombobulated power play for the Beacons this time around, but they've done just enough to keep it in. Oh, drag through, Hansen, tip back to the blue line, Kozik, swing down low, Wilbert tosses over to Cramp. 35 seconds remaining. Cramps flings into the middle, sticked wide. It was Wilbert on the touch.
The Beacons are doing a really good job finding those people in the slots. They just can't seem to be able to finish and put that puck in the back of the net there.
15 seconds to go. Wilbert back up top to the point, slingshot, loose in the slot. Wilbert picks it up, shoots, still loose, and it was Morrell once again ejecting the puck. And the play killed off, just stingy enough from the Cadets. Back to even strength for the last minute 20 of the second period. And an eventful second period at that. A couple of goals from Taylor Gerard set the table for the Cadets. And then the Beacons come roaring back with goals first from Mia Boyd, her first collegiate goal, and Margot Butters with a missile from deep to reestablish the Beacon lead.
You know, UMass might not have been able to score on that power play, but they were able to create tons of momentum, shots, opportunities, and when you're trying to walk out of this period with...
Oh, and there's a thread through. Taylor Gerard, beautiful dispossession there. Emma Webster. Puck still in, pad save, seal in the post. And UMass Boston narrowly escapes for the moment.
That's a big play by Webster. Like I was saying, you want to go into this period with the 1-goal lead, and she just ensured that they were able to keep that lead as of now.
Well, 38 seconds remaining. And Danielle Blanchard has got to be happy by and large with the effort from her team. A lot of it's not to say there's been perfect play. There have been certainly holes. We've been discussing them, but a lot of the areas that she told us earlier in the week that she wanted to focus on have looked very good. Melina Maggio slingshots that one in, but it doesn't quite make it through. Emma O'Neill fires down ice. Giving chase is Hedlund. Maggio trying to battle off, but Hedlund's going to take it. 20 seconds to go. Ejected back down off the stick of Wilbert. One last chance. Reynolds up the left side, behind the net, swerving, looking, losing the puck off her stick, and that's going to just about do it. Back and forth we've gone. A 4-goal second period keeps the Beacons up by 1. Couple of goals from Gerard, followed by Mia Boyd of the Beacons, and then Margot Butters to put UMass Boston back on top. And if this was going to be the impossible dream after a 10-0 drubbing at Norwich's hands in November, we're 2 periods through and they're still dreaming.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about, who was expecting this? And I can tell you right now, the rest of the conference is looking at the updates from this game, and they're shocked. So UMass is putting on a show tonight. You worry for a second when they go down 2-3 that they're just going to kind of cave and collapse, but they stood very tall and came back and once again have the lead going into the third period.
And as if it needed to be emphasized in any further different ways, just how good this Norwich team has been so far this season, save for their most recent game. All of their wins have come by multi-goal margins, most of them those by 3 or more. And then, other than Trinity, all of their losses have been 1-goal losses. This is not a team that messes around. This is a team that when they win, they usually win big. When they lose, they usually lose close. UMass Boston's vying for the latter option here, and we'll see how they do when we come back in a little while. Take a break. We're certainly going to, and both these teams, understandably gassed, are going to catch their breath and come back for what we hope is an exciting third period from the Clark Athletic Center. Stick around. You're watching UMass Boston Hockey, brought to you by McCourt Construction.
their first home game of 2023 inside the Clark Athletic Center, taking on a tough UMass Dartmouth Corsairs team on Wednesday night. Early on, all Beacons, Meg Dixon had 2 technical free throws that she'd hit to make it 2-0, and then Alexa Potter hits her shot right there, makes it 4-0 UMass Boston. Potter on the miss from Paige Olivier lays this one up and in, makes it 6-2 UMass Boston. Then to cap off the run, Carrie Ann Farina with the steal against Jordan Moretti makes it 8-2 UMass Boston in the early going. Paige Olivier, who had herself a season-high day with 16 points, hits a 3 right there to put the Beacons in control. And then Olivier again with a layup with the Beacons down by 1 in the closing moments of the first quarter. Lays it up and in. The Beacons go up 17-16 heading into the second quarter. And then Olivier again kicking off a 9-2 run for the Beacons in the second quarter with the 3 right there as they trailed by 6. Sunny Green with the tough layup gets it to go. The Beacons continuing to work themselves back into this game. Tatiana Fevry, the freshman, with the tough layup, makes it a 1-point game. And then Sabela Jensen gives the Beacons the lead back 26-25 on that layup about halfway through the second quarter. We move on later in the second quarter. Paige Olivier with a 3, a part of a 7-2 Beacons run to close out the second quarter to help them go into the half up by 4. As you see Sabela Jensen with the layup right before the buzzer. Beacons up 37-33 into the halftime locker room. Coming out in the second half, Sunny Green with this layup gives the Beacons their largest lead of the game at 7 points, 40-33. But then the UMass Dartmouth Corsairs would respond. A layup right here ends up making it a 3-point game in favor of the visiting team, 45-42. But then the Beacons respond with a 10-0 run, starting with Alexa Potter right there. A nice feed to her, and then Meg Dixon. It's tipped around. Dixon down low somehow gets it to fall on the Beacons. Pouring it on now. Biba Jakimi Pearson with the turnover on that steal right there, lays it up and in. The Beacons now in control by 3, and they continue to go at it. Potter down low gets the feed, the spin move, layup. The Beacons up now by 5 points, and then Potter capping off that run to give the Beacons a 7-point lead again with a jumper. UMass Boston in full control, but then the Corsairs would work themselves back into this one, and then Paige Olivier hits a pair of free throws to put the Beacons up by 2 heading into the fourth. Jessica Carroll, though, with a pair of big shots for UMass Dartmouth right here. A jumper right there, and then a 3-pointer help make it a 5-point game in favor of the visitors. Trailing by 4 later on, you see them down low again, the Corsairs giving it back to the Beacons, now up by 8, and then Kaylin Zalewski with the 3 puts UMass Dartmouth up by 11, but just over 5 minutes to go. But the Beacons would respond. Paige Olivier right here hits another 3, and just like that, it's an 8-point game. Once again, the Beacons trying to climb back into it. Tatiana Fevry with the layup right there makes it a 5-point game, and then Meg Dixon, a layup, makes it a 5-point game yet again, 72-67. And then Alexa Potter hits this free throw right here. It's now a 2-point game with 3 minutes left, but then Jordan Moretti seals the deal for UMass Dartmouth. A deep 3 right there makes it a 5-point game, and then Moretti yet again on the screen nails another. Jordan Moretti finishing this game with 19 points on 6-17 shooting. UMass Dartmouth takes this one 80. Hockey looking to snap a 4-game losing streak at home. The Beacons taking on Plymouth State University, coming into this one 1-5 at home so far this year. A big New England Hockey Conference matchup, and early on, the Beacons on the defensive. Leah Bosch, a good save right there. But then Isabella Borbridge breaks through with her first goal of the season. For Maddie Swanson and Emily DeSimone makes it 1-0 Plymouth State early on. Just like a night ago against Castleton, the Beacons trailing early. But Adriana Crepaldi, welcome to the college level. Her first collegiate goal from Liz Cramp and Addie Buddington. You see Crepaldi getting the redirect in front to get it by Amelia Julian, and just like that, we are tied up at 1-1. But the Beacons right back on the defensive again. Bosch coming up with another key save right there to keep it tied. But then it would be Robin Grant breaking through for her second goal of the season from Brianna Smith and Megan Hamilton. And just like that, the Beacons trailing 2-1 like they were against Castleton. But the offensive attack continued to be fast and furious. Katie Wilbert, a scoring chance there. And then on the other end, Bosch making a key save to keep this at a 1-goal deficit. We head to the second. Isabella Henningsen Brown on the breakaway is turned away by Julian to keep the game at 2-1. But then Henningsen Brown with the last laugh, her second goal of the season from Katie Wilburn and Adriana Crepaldi. You see Henningsen Brown just kind of redirects it by Julian, and we're tied all up at 2 apiece. And the Beacon offensive attack just continues to go and go at Julian. You see Cindy Leonard right here in a 2-on-1, firing on Julian, turned away. Leah Bosch in the third, now in a tie game. A big save right here to keep the game tied up. And then Liz Cramp, who can stop her? Her first goal of the season. Look at this run down the ice for Cramp. She wipes out an icing call completely as you see Julian signaling for it. Cramp goes around into the right circle and fires in the top left corner. Her first goal of the season, unassisted, doing it all on her own after a pass went a little long from the back end of the Beacon offense. And Cramp fired up. Her team's fired up. Momentum in favor of the Beacons, who trailed by 1 goal twice in this one. And they continued to pound Julian with shots in goal. Gabby Shantz right there with a shot of her own. And then Katie Wilbert, another scoring chance. Plymouth State would try and pull the goalie to try and tie it up. They'd be unsuccessful in doing so. And the Beacons win their first home game since November 11th when they won 4-0 earlier this year against Salem State. They move to 2-5 at home this year, 4-4 in New England Hockey Conference play, and they will take on Norwich.
The Edward T. Berry Ice Rink is a madhouse through 40 minutes. And through unexpected power play superiority and penalty kill superiority for that matter, UMass Boston carries a 5-3 lead over the Norwich Cadets. You can see the scoring summary over there. Leonard and Wilbert getting things started. Micah Baptiste evening things up, pulling one back, heading into the first intermission. Taylor Gerard putting the Cadets up. And then UMass Boston coming back with a vengeance. Slingshot from Mia Boyd, bullet from Butters. And here we are, 4-3. Thank you once again for tuning into the Beacons Broadcast Network. This game brought to you by McCourt Construction, and what a game it has been. Gina, I'm running out of superlatives for the amount of crazy that we have seen thus far. But we're going to try to quantify it as best we can here. Here are the team stats to this point. Shots have been just about even down the middle, but it's these power play numbers and penalty kill numbers that I think more than anything else we got to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know I'm completely at a loss for words to describe kind of what's going on here, but UMass's penalty kill has been excellent, and then on the other side, they've been excellent on the power play. So they've really just kind of been able to do it all when it comes to the penalty and penalty kill and the power play. And then Norwich has struggled with both of those. They've been able to keep up because they've been doing so well with regulation, but I mean, I'm at a loss for words. This is exactly the opposite of what you'd expect based on the numbers going into this game.
This is the craziest, probably the craziest way to put it. The worst power play unit in the conference is 1 of 4 against the best kill in the conference. The third best power play in the nation is 0 of 5 against a middle of the pack NEHC kill. I think those descriptors are going to stop meaning something as far as tonight goes. You don't want to get ahead of yourselves, but at a certain point, you don't want to assume if you're UMass Boston that this game, even if you win it, fixes the problems that we've been discussing. But by the same token, you have that confidence of if we can do it against Norwich, we can do it against anybody.
Absolutely.
Away we go in the third period of play. She's Gina Albano. I'm Milton Posner. Thank you so very much for joining us for what has been a remarkable and frenetic game of women's hockey here in Boston. There are a couple of teams looking to make their statement on the opposite side of the winter vacation in the NEHC. And maybe more so UMass Boston looking for the first real statement win of the season against a team of this caliber. Like we said, 8th in the national poll, 11th in the pairwise, and tops in the New England Hockey Conference in any number of team statistical categories. Puck tied up along the far side boards. Squibbs behind the Norwich net. UMass Boston once again aggressive with that forecheck, and they'll take the puck back for a moment. Swerving through Kozik and Emily Hansen. And not quite gaining their zone are Norwich as they go for a change. Now here comes Kaylee Kozik. Oh, a takeaway here. Riley McIntyre with a chance and a beautiful block. And losing the stick there as McIntyre dumps it is Margot Butters. A clever little play there to toss it into the corner ever so subtly. Or maybe not so subtly. Maybe she didn't care. Jillian Jackson, some nice puck work in the neutral zone. Maurice Archambault makes a spill into the boards behind the net. It's picked up there by McIntyre, dispossessed by Mia Boyd. And the Beacons having a little bit of trouble connecting these breakout passes to open the period. But running it down is Izzy Henningsen-Brown. No company there, and now the teammates join her, poked away from Wilbert by Jackson. A little bit of wild hockey here to open the third period of play. Both teams looking to settle in. Crepaldi has it poke checked away. Taylor Gerard sweeps through to clean it up. Battle goes on behind the net. Puck switching hands. Frederic Gay out in front. Tip shot sails through the slot untouched. And a dangerous entry there, but nobody to retrieve the pass. And that'll go for an icing down the other end.
I think it's interesting to see how UMass Boston starts this period, because the first two periods they kind of had a slow start. It kind of looked like the way everyone was expecting it to go. Norwich kind of repeatedly being able to kind of gain momentum in the offensive zone, and then kind of within the second half of the period they were able to pick it up and really put on that forecheck. So, you know, you'd like to see them kind of be able to start that a little earlier in order to protect this lead here.
Henningsen-Brown once again, persistent puck pursuit down the other end, allows her teammates to go for a line change. Riefler fighting for it over on the far side, battling over there with Emma Morell, but the Cadets take it. Is Gay going to have a chance to make a move here? No, Henningsen-Brown. A little shoulder. Oh, and we may have a... Henningsen-Brown may have gotten the worse end of that collision. She's grimacing a little bit as she goes for a change. She's being checked out on the bench as play continues.
I mean, we just saw Henningsen-Brown beat out two Cadets to get an icing called off, and then an absolutely stellar back check there. So you want to hope that's nothing serious, because she has been an absolute game changer as of so far.
Izzy Henningsen-Brown, 2 goals, 2 assists through her first 12 collegiate games. Has established a role for herself on this team in the early going. Loose puck, UMass Boston not quite able to eject. Henningsen-Brown, her first collegiate goal came as an overtime winner against Connecticut on the 6th, and then scored in the team's most recent game as well. Shot in, pad seals the post there as the Ali Legou tried to penetrate the defense. Oh, and a tough hit into the boards behind the net for Reynolds as the Beacons come the other way. Hansen with a puck a little too far out in front, and a whistle down the other end. 15:36 to go. Still nothing doing for either team in the third period. This is the furthest we've gotten in any period without a goal so far. You have to imagine one is imminent just based on the way this game has been going. And a little premature action on the draw here.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to what we're going to see as the game progresses. We're going to see players get a little chippy. We're going to see, you know, tensions are going to be high. This is a high-stakes game for both teams as of right now, so I think that's what we're going to be seeing throughout the rest of the game.
Oh, and Baptiste wins it. Butters coming back to cover, centering pass, broken up, still loose in the slot. Not the most sure-handed of defense, but the Beacons just enough to get things done. He's taking a spill is Emily Hansen on a shoulder check. No whistle coming there. Ruled incidental coming through the neutral zone. Here comes Liz Cramp with a centering feed just ahead of Hansen, and the Cadets will chase it down behind their own net. Quarter of the way through the last period of play. This is the furthest we've got in any period without a goal or without a penalty, as Frederick Gay about 4 inches wide of the right post. Recovers it. Fantastic puck skills as the centering pass skitters through the crease unharmed. To Gerard behind the net. A couple of Beacons checking her. Scrum and a tie-up. Along the boards. Finally squibs loose back to Morrell. They go D to D. Flanagan pokes it through. Shot again traverses the crease, but harmlessly finds the corner instead. Slide pass across, missed cramp. Flanagan gives chase, and the Beacons a lot for a change instead of a breakout.
The Cadets have spent a lot of time in the Beacon zone for the last couple minutes, but they really still haven't been able to get some quality shots or opportunities. A few, but they just haven't been able to get their sticks on it and really force Bosch to make a difficult save.
Well, there's a pad save for Bosch there, albeit one she had comfortably. I mean, we've seen centering passes make it through. The threading is happening. There just hasn't been somebody on the opposite end, like you said, to tuck it home. The Beacons playing with fire just a little bit here. 6 minutes and change into the period. Slug shot from Teff didn't make it all the way through.
Yeah, if you're the Beacons, you got to be careful, because this consistency that the Cadets are showing is very dangerous and can definitely lead to a tie game very soon.
Hedlund tips one in. It's deflected aside and into the far corner. McIntyre swings around, dispossessed right at the last moment. The forecheck has been on the highest of pressures for the Cadets through the first 7 minutes of play in the third. It's about as consistent as we have seen it. Baptiste as they cycle the puck again. Beacon still trying to eject. It squibs around back to Archambault and squirts through her at the blue line. Beacons will take the opportunity for a much-needed change. The thread-through pass goes awry. Claire Giuliano with the Beacons tips it forward. And Hansen losing control a little bit as she came over toward the boards. And a neutral zone face-off, the upshot of what otherwise could have been a decent chance at the net. Has not always been the cleanest of breakouts for the Beacons so far this evening, but they have made good use of the ones they've gotten.
Yeah, I mean, all you need is one good one and one shot on net, and they've kind of proven that within the first period here. But I don't think that's the way they want to see this game go. I think they want to stick with them as far as shots. They want to keep the pressure on. You don't want to get into kind of a battle of defense to try to protect your lead here.
Slingshot, it's still in the slot. Beautiful defense there by Webster with a well-timed cut across the slot. Now she'll retrieve it behind the net. Looking ahead to Kozik, instead goes middle. It's Hansen with Kozik on the right wing as everyone else goes for a change. Now come the reinforcements. Izzy Henningsen-Brown back on the ice after taking a tough hit over by the boards, or delivering a tough hit, I should say, in her last shift. Butters flings one down. As Gerard comes off, Amy Hedlund still without a point. The only one of the big four for the Cadets that doesn't have one. Back down to the Beacons' end after a brief foray down into the Cadets.
It's important for the Beacons to get it out of their zone kind of once it goes deep and not get kind of trapped in without being able to make a change, because that's where they've shown to kind of struggle, and that's where the Cadets are going to get their opportunities.
Stingy defense above the left dot from Margot Butters. As the puck comes out and the Beacons once again going for the change. Everyone's save for Adriana Crepaldi. And now she does as well. The Beacons with fresh legs out there look to be more aggressive on the forecheck. Pass swung wide there. Emma O'Neill, excuse me. Taking the puck through the neutral zone, dumping down, and a missile to Clark. Pardon to Bosch, who lays it down. Halfway home in the final period of play, still no scores and no penalties in the period. And a big break with the tradition established so far tonight.
That's unfortunate that's an offside. So that's a great heads-up play from Buddington to kind of see that everyone was going around the net and make that cut in front of Bosch. It's a dangerous play, but she was aware of kind of the time she had, and she made it work. And that's kind of the creativity you're going to have to see from the Beacons in order to get the puck out of this, really difficult forecheck coming in from the Cadets.
Here comes Frederick Gay on the breakout. Oh, and it just goes wide there. A little toss shot off the bounce. Slingshot glove save by Bosch. Shot coming in from Olivia Boyer. And once again, the shot tally in this period, the Beacons have not attempted a shot. Meanwhile, the Cadets up to 7-8 shots, 3 of them on goal. Icing call, and we'll go back down the other way. When UMass Boston here, like you mentioned, surely not content to try to preserve a 1-goal lead over 20 minutes. They want to add on to it, but they have not been able to muster a shot.
And I think this is the way we saw the other 2 periods go. It seems like Norwich is in the offensive zone time after time after time, and all UMass needs is really that little boost of confidence to kind of pick them up. They need that one good breakout, one solid shot on goal, and all of a sudden the momentum is completely turned around. But if they can't get that, especially early on, this is going to be a long third period for the Beacons.
They might need, semi-genuinely here, they may need a penalty to kill off. That seems to be the way it's worked so far for them tonight. They have played very well in the few minutes after each kill. Morel, slingshot. Oh, and loose! And covered up in the nick of time as Bosch read it well, but didn't quite squeeze the puck on her first try.
But it was all about that confidence she had with it. The ref, saw that confidence and blew the whistle very quickly, which is what you want from your keeper.
Puck is loose in the slot here. And Morel got to it just in time with the help of a couple of sticks in front.
I think that's Sean's 10th block shot of the night. She has been absolutely unbelievable in front of the net, and it's a difficult balancing game you have to play because you can't screen your goalie, and she's done an excellent job of making sure if she's going to get in front of the shots, she's going to get in front of them and make Bosch's life a little easier.
UMass Boston once again letting the puck thread through all the way down as Bosch with a beautiful breakup of the centering feed. Fantastic read from the freshman to erase a would-be chance. A big collision there on the center line. Norwich once again, and just off the bench, McDougall trying to take that one over. But Norwich refusing to let the Beacons break out so far. Giving chase is Boyd there. Gerard in pursuit. All the way around, and it's going to go all the way down. Icing is the call. Worth mentioning at this point, with 7.5 minutes to go, UMass Boston has not beaten a nationally ranked opponent since the 2016 conference championship game where they won 2-0. You want to guess who the nationally ranked team was?
I have no idea.
Norwich University.
Figures.
The Cadets were ranked 7th in the country at the time. They also haven't scored this many goals against Norwich since 2008, which bears mentioning was the Cadets' second year as a varsity program. Bosch looks like she tried to cover that one up, but it was well behind the net, and Norwich will keep it in the zone. Morgan Teft Slide through, wide of the post. 7 minutes to go. And the Beacons have been playing with a couple of torches here. Teft, puck's still loose. And back to Teft at the blue line. UMass Boston has struggled to eject the puck, let alone possess it for any long stretch. Norwich trying to catch him mid-change here, but the Beacons recover into position nicely. Baptiste flings it through. Webster, it's kept in. Jillian Jackson with a sprawling deflection. Hansen up, thread through pass, misses Kozik. Oh, and Kozik with a poke check away. Kozik to the right dot. Oh, and a beautiful save from O'Neill. Guess that leg is okay.
That's huge because that's the one break for UMass Boston that they found every single period. And Kozik wasn't able to finish specifically because O'Neill has an amazing defensive play and reads that really well.
Inside of 6 minutes now. Beacon still clinging to a 4-3 lead. Liz Cramp dispossessed. Didn't make it to the blue line and takes it right back. Sluggish moving through the neutral zone. The Beacons can't do it. Gay with a nice pass. Giuliano. Covered up by Bosch.
Bosch is going to have to come up big within these next 5 minutes, and that right there proves she's capable of it. So, you know, it's going to be exciting to see kind of what she can put together to keep the Beacons holding this lead.
Still just one shot on goal for the Beacons in 15 minutes of third period action. The defense has been enough to keep the lights on and to keep the lead intact. Centering pass, Teft, block in front, still loose. I think just about every stick touched it on its way through, and they can't get it by Bosch. Loose, Teft sliding it in, and another stick on the way through. The slot has been clogged worse than downtown LA traffic for this whole third period. Teft deflected high. Well, the Beacons aren't scoring, but they're sure as heck making a defensive stand. Slingshot high off the stick of Gay. And it comes all the way back out to the neutral zone. Both teams opting for a partial change here. Amy Hedlund. Half-hearted shot deflecting off of Mia Boyd. No goals for either team in the third period. No power plays for either team in the third period. And now here come the Beacons. O'Neill once again deflects a missile. And covered up in net. Leocadia Clark has 14 saves tonight against against 4 goals. Leah Bosch has 26 saves against 3 goals. I mean, we saw her and Kennedy platooning against Norwich the last time out when the game was out of hand by the middle of the second period. But Bosch has stood on her head tonight. It's not that she's had to make the most extraordinary saves. Look, there have been a couple difficult ones. It's the positioning really that has stood out. Has done her work early. And has kept that tying goal off the board in the third period.
And the Beacons can be really grateful for Sydney Leonard's individual effort to get the puck down the other end when they've struggled so much in this third period getting the puck out of their zone. So that really gives the Beacons a break, gives Bosch a second to kind of catch her breath, and is really important to kind of keeping the Beacons with this lead.
Well, Leonard, for those who have been watching the whole way through, had the first goal of the game on a shot that somehow found its way through Leocadia Clark. I think to the great surprise of pretty much everyone in the building, it did not look as though she had a good shooting angle. But enough mustard and a little bit of luck granted the first goal. 3.5 minutes to go. Cramp with a little nutmeg through the defensive zone. Centering pass, Gay. Beautiful poke away from Butters. And here come the Beacons now. Kozik realizing no one was with her and opted to dump down and join the change. Tipped through. Icing was waved off. Boyer centering pass, but no one there to fetch it. And now the Beacons getting a little more aggressive with their forecheck. Getting back to that defense that we saw earlier in the game.
And you see those active sticks again breaking up passes in the neutral zone, which is going to be really important in these last 2.5 minutes for the Beacons.
Shantz back around the net. Allie Riefler. Next to pass up to the neutral zone. Tapping it down is Wilbert, giving her teammates an opportunity for yet another change. The Beacons do not seem to be playing for a score anymore. They are playing a defensive game. Tapped ahead. Dug out. Wilbert taps down, goes for a change. Here comes Emily Hansen in her stead, but the Beacons keep it in. Deflected wide on the blocker from Clark. Inside of 2 minutes. And Frederique Gay. Baptiste in the middle. Baptiste fires. Oh, and Clark, it's still loose. And a whistle on the play here. It made it through the blocker, but lost all its juice in doing so.
I think Bosch made the original save, and then I think she might have double checked and got a little nervous there, and the puck started moving around. But I think she had it right at the beginning.
Her 28th save of the evening. And the tension continues to mount here. We do not have zone time breakdowns, but I'm gonna go ahead and estimate here 18 minutes. I'd have to say 14, 15 of them spent in the neutral or offensive zones for Norwich. Most of that in the offensive zone. The Beacons have been, I think, a lot of things, but in particular, they have been playing for line changes these last 5-6 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's worked for them.
Yeah, no, the Beacons have definitely been taking a beating in their own zone, but when they get the chance to kind of get over the red line, they're being really smart about getting the puck in and getting the puck deep. You saw Wilbert had a good opportunity, and she chose to kind of dump it in instead of taking it in, because they know that fresh legs on the ice are better than maybe a one-off weak shot on net. They know what they're trying to do tonight. They're trying to get that win, and they're going to do everything in their power to hold off this Cadets team right now.
Goals from Sydney Leonard, Katie Wilbert in the first period to get it going for UMass Boston. Micah Baptiste, the third leading scorer in the nation, countered for Norwich going into the break. Taylor Gerard is starting left wing today with a couple of second period goals to put the Cadets on top. And then Mia Boyd and Margot Butters put the Beacons back in front, one after the other. No goals, no penalties in the third period, and just one shot, make it 2 shots on goal for UMass Boston. 13 shots on goal for the Cadets, but none of them have found their way through, as the 14th almost does. Leah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to bring her up. I said she had to have a huge, couple last minutes, and she is having the game of her life right now.
This is a difficult team to backstop against. As Baptiste, that one's still loose in the slot. Stick got to it just in time for the blue and white. Minute 20 to play. Puck comes all the way down. Norwich playing with the empty net now. Pulling in favor of the extra skater. And with a minute 16 to go, the icing call is going to send it back to the offensive zone for Norwich, and a timeout called. Sophie Leclerc-Doherty. It looks like there's somebody being tended to over on the bench who may have taken a spill there. Something's going on over there, not entirely sure what. It looks like Melianne Reynolds trying to get to her feet. Not entirely sure whether that happened on the ice or whether something that happened on the bench. But either way, UMass Boston looking to pull off a stunner here. Like we said, last time they scored 3 or more goals against this Norwich team was when Norwich is still building up to what it was. It was their second year of competition. This would be their first win over a nationally ranked opponent since they beat Norwich to win the NEHC title in 2016. We're talking about 7 years here. They won that game 2-0. And the tension has seemed at times so thick that you need a chainsaw to cut through it. What did the Beacons need to do in the last minute 16 to keep this lead?
I think their schedule prepared them for this. I think they really need to make sure they don't get, in their head with the empty net, and they do what they've been doing. Get the puck over the red line and get the puck deep. They don't need another goal. They need to defend their goal, and hopefully they're able to do that.
The draw goes to the Cadets. Pass to Baptiste. Fires in, Cramp with a deflection. Just above the dot, grimacing a little bit, but a valuable defensive play. Back to the blue line, inside of a minute remaining. Gay fires wide of the net. The centering pass, they're firebombing the net now. 50 seconds to play. Hedlund off to Morgan Teft. Slingshot in traffic, how did she see it? Leah Bosch with a deserved ovation from the crowd here on a puck that somehow threaded through half the skaters on the ice.
Yeah, that's a big save. And she looks up at the people around her, and she knows she just made that save. And there's nothing they can do about it.
Leocadia Clark still pulled. The net still empty. Puck comes skittering through behind the net. Norwich keeping it in, but they have not found the chink in the armor yet. Centering pass broken up. Puck's loose. It's in the crease. It's in! Norwich with 25 seconds to go ties it up. They brought a house down onto Leah Bosch, and it pays dividends. And Frederique Gay with her first goal of the game, her 8th on the season. And we are even at 4 goals apiece.
That's a difficult one. You got a kind of a scrum in front of the net, and the Cadets have more players, so they're able to put that one away. That's frustrating. You got 25 seconds, and now it's all tied up.
Draw goes to the Cadets. Clark back in net for him. Last chance for each of these teams to get the 3 points. 10 seconds to go. Norwich on the advance. Pass comes all the way through. And it looks like that'll just about do it for regulation. Deadlocked. 4 goals apiece after 3 periods. We're going to take a quick break here and be right back with the overtime conclusion of this one. Stick around. 5 minutes to settle things. 5 minutes of 3-on-3 overtime to see who can nab the extra point after Norwich pulls the goalie and Anne-Frederique Gay, third in the nation in points, cashes in their first goal of the evening. She'll begin the overtime out there alongside Micah Baptiste and Morgan Teft. Out there for the Beacons, it's Kaylee Kozik, Gabby Shantz, and Sydney Leonard. And coming through the neutral zone, it's Anne-Frederique Gay. Poked away. Tip up ahead. It'll be Teft reaching for it first. Gay goes for a change. Shantz looking to the bench for a change, doesn't get one. Here comes Taylor Gerard. Up through the neutral zone. Is UMass Boston going to take a change? No, they won't. They'll go up to Kozik. Dangle through. Taps down. They'll go for their change here, all three at once. Here comes Wilbert, Buddington, and Liz Cramp for the Beacons. Baptiste goes to the bench in favor. That looks like the extra skater, Sage Biddle. Oh, a beautiful dangle from Biddle. She's got some open ice. Shot high and wide. Looked like Bosch might have got a piece with a blocker. 3 minutes 45 to go in the overtime. Gerard backpedals. Tosses over, gets it back. Dangles through the dot. And a nice little back check there from Buddington. Pass out in front. And UMass Boston has not held the puck too much in the overtime period. And Frederick Gay back onto the ice, as is Baptiste. Out there with Molly Flanagan, the defenseman. Pad save by Bosch. Oh, and here's a chance. Mia Boyd, the freshman, centering pass. Cramp, oh, and whiffed on the chance.
That's a really good heads-up play from Boyd to see Cramp coming in there, but just can't finish it.
Cramp gives way to Izzy Henningsen Brown. Was deked. Taft couldn't quite get it onto her stick, and that's going to give Boyd enough time to recover. Tapped through. Bosch lets it sail through the crease untouched. Halfway home in the overtime period is that we got a lost stick there. And it comes around out of the reach of Henningsen Brown, or is it? Gives chase, puck still loose, and now the Beacons behind the play, scrambling to get back. And on the back check, Mia Boyd is the deterrent. Sage Biddle, dangle, shot, pad, save, Bosch. 2:15 remaining as the puck comes all the way back down for an icing. And both teams presumably going to take this chance for a swap.
Yeah, I think Henningsen Brown was trying to make a change and they told her no, and now it looks like they're going to call a timeout maybe?
Indeed they will. The Beacons will call it. And so we've seen the Cadets certainly having more opportunities in overtime, but the Beacons no doubt had the best one, as Liz Cramp is going to be kicking herself, but she's got to get back on the horse. There's a good chance they're going to want her out here again.
Yeah, 3-on-3 is an interesting game because anything can happen. You have one great opportunity and everyone all three kind of get forward, and then all it takes is that one opportunity going back down the other way. So, you can nothing's really certain in 3-on-3. It doesn't really matter how much possession you have at this point in the game.
Even a 2-point win here would be huge for UMass Boston. For standings purposes, yes, they're trying to claw their way out of the middle, but just as much so for the confidence of, we want to walk off this ice winners. We got a game tomorrow we'd like some momentum for. That one is going to be against NEC in the afternoon. Also got some men's and women's basketball on tap for you. You can watch it on littleeast.tv on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Same spot you're watching this.
I mean, we've seen what confidence can do for this Beacons team, so a win, as you said, would really help them out, especially going into their next game.
Puck squibs through the crease off the draw, and Anne-Frederique Gay recovers behind the net. Both coaches once again going with their top options. Oh, and that one a dangerous shot sticked away by Bosch. Gay's got a little space to work with, but she has shots in front of her. And shots enough of a deterrent. Inside of 2 minutes now. Molly Flanagan. It's kicked away. Beacons with some possession and a chance. Picked off. Gay. Back and forth. Beautiful play by Shantz. Centering pass. Bosch with a save. Unbelievable. And Shantz tripped up. There is no call on the play. Lost a stick. She is down. And slow to get up here.
I'm shocked that wasn't called because she had everything but open ice in front of her. Well, all she had was open ice in front of her.
Here comes Biddle. Wraparound chance. Defended very tightly by Buddington. Minute left in the overtime period. Gerard swerving. Trying to find the front of the net. Oh, and it just stayed out. Misconnection on the back post. 50 seconds to go. Dug through, and Bosch wisely covers it up. 46.4 seconds to go.
I think Bosch just made the save of the game tonight. That was absolutely incredible. I don't know how she got a foot on it. She's only 5'7". That's pretty tall, but she just seemed like she was 6'4" right there making that save. That's incredible. And her team knows it. They're going over there. They're tapping her on the pads. They're saying, hey, thanks for keeping us in this thing right now.
The Cadets are going to call for time. It should be Emily Hansen, Liz Cramp, and Mia Boyd out there. So the second line center, the third line defenseman, and the second line left winger out for Danielle Blanchard, alongside Leah Bosch, who has now made 34 saves, given up 4 goals, and quite frankly, the fourth one she gave up was just the Cadets crashing the house on her. It's hard to say that she did a whole lot wrong there. Yeah. This is the desperation chance at the end of the game where pretty much anything happens. But UMass Boston has struggled to find their chances in the overtime. Best chance they got was that centering pass, Cramp open in the slot, couldn't connect on the one-timer. I think we just saw the Cadets' best chance. UMass Boston's going to have to fight here. This is a D-zone draw for them. 46 seconds to go. And you have to imagine they're going to see the A players for the Cadets once again.
Yeah, especially it gets tricky with the defensive zone faceoff on 3-on-3. But if the Beacons can win this faceoff, that would be huge for them to kind of be able to settle down and gain control of this 46 seconds.
They got 4 players out on the ice right now.
Yeah, Katie Wilbert's in the box, I think.
Oh, indeed she is. Oh, and this is a big development. 42 seconds to go. There's no difference between an overtime loss and a tie here. Beacons have an incentive to go for it. And a no-goal signal from the official. It was tapped in, but immediately waved off.
I think they're saying she kicked it because it went right off her skate.
It was a tripping penalty on Wilbert before the timeout. And the officials are going to confer here. The ruling did seem to be that it was kicked in. And the teams are going to take this chance for another de facto timeout. And so if the Beacons want an overtime win here, they're going to have to do it shorthanded. They have killed off every other power play. But again, it's 1 point for an overtime loss, 1 point for a draw. And so they are incentivized to be maybe more risky than they otherwise might be in this sort of a situation. But it looks like once again it's going to be a draw away from their own net. The officials still having a chat about what to do about this one. Waved off immediately by the official.
Yeah, there really was no second thought to it. Before it even went in, they were making the no-goal sign.
Coach is getting an explanation now. Seems as though the goal has indeed been waved off. The call confirmed. Officiating crew here tonight conferring and making the resolution. 35 seconds to go here in a 4-4 game, and comes sprinting for it is Cramp with a try for a suicide steal there. It didn't work, and here's Micah Baptiste with a slingshot. Bosch with a save. Puck still loose behind the net with 24 seconds to play. (15) Gay fires. Glove save Bosch, and a shove to Jackson after the whistle. Did not like the way she was being crowded.
Yeah, she's letting them know. She wants to be able to see, and that's how the game goes. I think you're absolutely right. I think the Beacons know that the draw is worth the same as the loss, and they're going full steam ahead, trying to make something happen even down a man.
We saw Liz Cramp with a bonsai try for a steal there as they toss it up ahead. And this may do it. 4 seconds to go. Puck is loose. And that is how this one is going to end. A 4-4 draw. And UMass Boston, a fantastic effort against the number 8 ranked team in the country. And they earn themselves a hard-fought point.
Yeah, I know UMass is probably a little disappointed. Any game, when you think you have the win and that changes 25 seconds left in the game, it's got to be frustrating. But I think they got to walk out of here with their heads held high. They just tied, a nationally ranked team that, we've talked about it. I don't think anyone expected that was going to happen. I think if, you told anyone at the end, before this game started, that it was going to end 4-4, they probably wouldn't believe you. But the Beacons had a great game. There's a lot of good stuff, I think, to see in this appearance against Norwich, and a lot to go into tomorrow's game with.
At the same time, it's got to be hard for a team in this kind of a moment to forget just how close they were to a win in regulation, to 3 points instead of 1, and to a major message that they could have. I mean, you mentioned it. I have no doubt there were teams who are aware of this when they're playing their games tonight, aware of what's going on up here in Boston, and acutely aware that, okay, UMass Boston's making some noise here. Let's be on the lookout for them next time.
Oh, for sure. The bus rides home of other games and other teams, they're looking up at the score going, how'd they pull that off? And I think there's many reasons why the Beacons were able to pull this off tonight.
Beacons are going to play tomorrow. They have got a matchup against New England College. Norwich is going to move on to face off against Johnson and Wales, who they beat already this season. Once again, the final score 4-4 for the Cadets. It was 2 goals from Taylor Gerard, 1 apiece from Micah Baptiste and Anne Frederick Gray. For the Beacons, goals from Leonard, from Wilbert, from Boyd, and from Butters. Want to say a quick thank you to our crew before we sign off. These are the people who help us put the broadcast on. We want to say a shout out to our crew before we get that chance. To our sports information director and our broadcast producer, Michael Vesci, for all the stuff that he does, stat support, tech support, everything you can think of. He has been on. To Elena Albano on camera 1 here, making sure that we're coming through to you nice and crisp. To Maria Spilios for all of her work in the director's chair. Once again, the final score from Edward T. Barry Ice Rink. UMass Boston and Norwich tie it up at 4 goals apiece. For Gina Albano and our entire Beacons Broadcast Network crew, I'm Milton Posner saying thank you so very much for being with us, and have a delightful rest of your weekend.